All right, now I think everybody's hearing me. Sorry about that, folks. A little technical difficulty this morning. Not the first time we've done this before. So let me start. You've seen what I've been doing on the screen, but let me now describe to you so you can actually hear it, what it is we've been doing. So again, my name is Mike Haney. I'm the Chief Product Officer for the company. Normally, I'm much more tech savvy than this, I swear. So what I'm going to do in today's webinar, and what you saw me sort of start with there, is take you really all the way through the process of building a magplus magazine. Everything from, hey, I just heard about your tools, all the way through, I'm ready to submit my app to Apple. So we won't do every one of those steps, but I'll walk you through what every one of those steps looks like so you can really see the full process here. So where I'd started here, and what you saw me doing but didn't hear me narrating, was I went out to magplus.com. That's really where all of this starts, and that's because our tool set, everything you need to build a magplus issue, is free out on our site. Really, truly, there's no hidden features, there's no hidden charges coming in. All the tools are free out on the site, so you can take them and just start building. So the place to start is just at our big green button here, the download for free. I'll just step through this quickly again. If you've never been with us, you can fill in this information. If you do have a magplus account already, you can just log in, which is what I'm going to do. But you can always come back and do this, even if you have an account and you want to use the tools on another computer, send them to a friend, upgrade your system, etc. Come sign in, download them again. Really get them as often as you want. So I'll just go through the download here one more time. I think this is where we came in last time. So you can see it just downloaded a file to my downloads folder here, a DMG. This is a standard Mac installer. We, of course, also have a Windows version. If I click that, it's going to open up a little hard drive here on my desktop with a simple installer. So I just double click that. This will walk me through a very standard installer, tell me all the stuff that's in it, the latest versions of it. Simple EULA, click agree. Put this on my regular hard drive. Now you can see here at this stage there's a few things you can install. Now normally if it's the first time you're using it, just leave everything checked because you want all of this stuff. If you've been with us before and maybe you just need the new plugin or you just want to grab the template again, you can uncheck these things and only install part of it, but I'm just going to let it install everything. It doesn't take long at all. And I better type in my password for my computer. And you can see it's just a couple of seconds. Now, if you were doing this on your own and not listening to my melodic voice explaining it to you, you could watch this little video out here on our site, and this would step you through all the things that I'm telling you now. So now we're fully installed, and I'll show you what we just got. Let's get rid of these couple of things on my desktop. So if I go into our applications folder now, you can see there's a folder called magplus in here. And that's where I've got my magplus templates. So these are the blank templates I'm going to start with, and I'll explain the difference between these later. There's also a bunch of example files in here. So a lot of the things that we reference in the instructions that you hear me talking about, there are some sample files in here that show you what those things are, things like pinning and linking. And then we've also got in here one more installation step, and that's to install what we call our production tool, which I'll show you a little bit later, but we'll just go ahead and do the install now. This is an Adobe Air app, so if you don't already have Adobe Air, which is a free program on your computer, it's going to install that first. I already do, so it's just going to ask me if I want to install the production tool. Select where you want to go. Boom, that's it. Now that's installed as well. We'll just put this away and we'll come back to it later. I'll show you what that looks like. But now you can see I have a new icon here in my applications folder called magplus production tool. Now it actually installed one more thing, and I'll show you what that is. That's our plugin for Adobe InDesign. So here in my CS 5.5 folder, because that's the version I chose, and then here in my plugins folder, now there's a folder in here called magplus. That contains the plugin files. So you don't need to worry about that. It just means next time you start up InDesign, which we'll do right now, that plugin's going to be there. If you ever need to uninstall this or get rid of it, those are the things you need to delete. Head in here into the plugins, ditch that magplus folder, and then back here in your applications folder, just lose these two things, the production tool and that. Trash everything and you're good to go. If you have any conflicts when you're trying to install a new version, just ditch everything, reinstall it. Should work on the next try there. So as InDesign is starting up, I want to show you, and then we're going to get into actually building some pages and showing how that works. But I'm going to jump out here while that's happening to the features and price section of our site. Because this is what you're going to want to know when I finished all this and you say, great, I want to dive in and start building and I want to publish something out to the world. How do I do that? Well, it's pretty simple. You just email us, sales@magplus.com, or one of your MagPlus representatives, and tell us which one of these packages you want to go with. Our simple, straightforward, easy to get in $199 package means you get a fully functional branded reader app, an app that looks exactly like your app, that reads the issue you've just built in this tool set, and it's $199. Pay that, it lives out in the store forever. You don't have to pay us anything else. It's a super cheap way to just get your creative ideas live, get them out there, get them in front of people. Let's say you want to continuously publish. Maybe you've got an idea for a monthly or a quarterly type of publication you want to do. Well, then you want a Grow app, and the difference with that is that it's going to come with an in-app store and library, so that you can deliver multiple issues to people through that same app. It's also going to come with all kinds of extras, like the ability to tie into a subscription system or certain marketing tools to help you, really get some visibility on that app out there. Analytics, so you can see what people are doing with your app, where are they reading, how far are they swiping, etc. And when you've become a publishing tycoon and you really want to put out tons of apps, you've built a great business around this, or maybe you're a publishing company, you got a whole bunch of titles you want to do, some new apps you want to try out, that's when you should go for our lead program. And what that is a fixed price. It's $3,000 a month. And for that, you can do as much as you want. You can publish as many apps on as many operating systems, as many issues. You get all of our creative support. You get 10 terabytes of downloads free if you host with us. You can always host your issues yourself with any MagPlus program here, so that you don't have to pay anything or pay us anything for those downloads. The lead program is our all-in. That's really put every idea you have out there for a fixed price so you can see exactly what kind of ROI you're getting on this program. So it looks like my InDesign is open. What I'm going to do now is open up the MagPlus template. And again, that's here in my MagPlus folder, into templates. And I'll just open this in the Finder so you can see. We've got a couple of templates here. The one we're going to work with the most is called the straight MagPlus template CS 5.5. A couple of other ones in here are for specific spaces you can build for in the app. So if you want to have a dedicated table of contents that pops down from the menu, if you want to have a help page, which actually you need to have a help page in there, or some kind of embedded page that comes up with the help button, that's what these are for. But everything else you're going to build, this is really what you want to start with, is this MagPlus template. So we'll just open this up. Now when you get this message that says you're missing a couple of links, you can just click the update links, it's fine. All those are as part of our guide layers. So let me jump out here to the layers palette, and I'll show you that we have a couple of layers built into the layers palette that just show you the different sizes of the iPad so you can see how your creative is going to render on the iPad screen. That's the images that it's referring to, so don't worry about it when you see that. So this is our blank MagPlus template. Let me zoom out so you see the whole thing. Now it's a kind of a strange shape, right? The iPad screen is, well, you can see how big the iPad screen is here. It's that big, so why is it so long? Well, that's because within MagPlus pages, you can have content that scrolls vertically, and so this way you can have as much content as you want scrolling vertically over a single image, and without it sort of changing the background. That's what this very long template is for. This will make more sense when I start populating it with some content. But the important thing to know as you start building out these pages is what your sort of visible area is. And that's what this first iPad bezel guide is for. One of the great advantages of MagPlus is that it allows you to build once and have that design work. That layout will work in either orientation for the user. So you're not building two separate versions of every layout to support both orientations. People ask us a lot, how do people hold their iPads? Well, the answer seems to be it still depends. It depends on what they feel like, where they're standing or sitting, and what the app they're looking at seems to call for. Some games only work in horizontal, some publications only work in vertical. But giving the user the ability to hold it in either direction that they feel comfortable with, or to see the things that are available in either orientation, is a really great benefit of this, and it costs you no extra work because of the features built into MagPlus. So that's what you're seeing in this template here. It's kind of a cross shape because my center square here, which in the iPad 2 or the old iPad is 768 by 768, and the long dimension is 1024, that's in pixels. So this square is always visible, and these edges are what's visible in either orientation. So again, if I turn on this way, you can see this is my visible area. If I turn on that way, that's my visible area. And we'll get into a feature called pinning, which is what allows you to design once and have things move to work in both orientations. So I want to start populating this with some content, and the content that I'm going to use today, what I'm going to try to do relatively quickly, so hopefully I don't get you bored, is I'm going to take a print page from one of our client publications, and I'm going to start with the print InDesign document, and I'm going to build a magplus page out of it. And I'm going to do this to show you how quick and easy it is to do that, to translate it through in a way that doesn't just feel like you took a picture of that print page and shrunk it down for the iPad, but really made it feel native to this device. So I'm going to go in my demo material, and I'm going to be using a page from Outside Magazine just because they've got some beautiful stuff, and we really love the things that they do. And it's a really good representation of a lot of the kind of content you might be working with. It's text, it's images, there's some movie assets, some really beautiful images in that magazine that oftentimes in the print publication get shrunk down. And one of the great advantages of magplus and the digital canvas is that you don't have to make those compromises anymore between how big a picture can be and how many words you can get on, because what you've got on the iPad screen is an infinite canvas. So here's a print page. This is from their front of book, and I'm going to take this article right here and I'm going to translate this through into a magplus optimized experience. So all I really need to do to start is copy and paste. So I've opened up my print. This is my closed file, let's say, or maybe even my in-progress file. And I'm just going to grab all the elements that I know I'm going to want on the other page, this whole story. I'm going to hit the copy button. I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to paste them on. And then we'll move them around and kind of put them where we need them to be. All right, so you can see right away, if I just wanted to translate this through directly, well, I've got a problem, right? Because let's go back to our guide layers. And even in portrait, well, this doesn't fit, right? So I could do this, right? This is what some of the PDF solutions would have you do. Actually, let me do that another way, in a way that it actually does shrink it down. I could just shrink everything and put it on there. But boy, that doesn't look very good. It doesn't look like something that iPad users that are accustomed to seeing these beautiful custom designed games, and they open up your brand, they don't want to see this. This is not great. So what I want to do instead is I want to really optimize this for this screen. This is a really cool picture here. It's a nice shot of this guy. I want to use this big. So what I'm going to do is just move everything off to the side. I'm going to turn off my guide there, and I'm just going to build this page quick. Now you'll see that in magplus I've got a number of layers over here to work with. I've got a couple of versions of the B layer, which is our background layer, and our A layer, which is this free scrolling layer that comes over the top of it. I'm going to build this out really quickly, and then I'm going to do a quick review of it so you can see what this looks like. So I'm going to take my background image. This is a pretty common way of building, and I'm going to put it here on my B slides main content layer. So I'm just going to paste that back onto that layer. And I'm going to make this as big as I can because I've got this full nice canvas to work with. I want to use this image big. Now, another great thing about the iPad is that often in print, or anytime we're creating other images, we're often creating them at 300 dpi. The iPad's resolution, the iPad 2 anyway, is 132 ppi, pixels per inch, which means I've got more resolution to work with. I can blow up these images if I want to. So I'm just going to make this even bigger here. I'm going to make it fill out this whole screen. Now, of course, I could recenter this and move it around. But now I've got that working nice and big, and I'm pretty happy with my crop. So if I turn on my portrait, you can see, well, there's my crop. And if I turn on my landscape, there's my crop. So I'm going to turn on my both orientations. I'm just going to move this around a little bit so I get kind of a perfect image I'm happy with in both orientations. In fact, I'm going to move it over a little bit more because what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the focus of him over on the left side because I'm going to take my text and I'm going to put it over on the right side. So now I'm just going to move my text box here. I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to take my text box off of this B layer because I don't want it to come behind this photo, and I'm going to put it here on my A layer. I'm just going to paste it. And now I'm going to use this vertical space that I talked about. You can see that I can go beyond the boundaries of the iPad screen because the iPad screen isn't a page edge. This is digital. We can scroll. We can expand. We can use more of the space. It is an infinite canvas. I can't repeat that phrase enough. And it's really important to know and to work with. So I need to take this text and I want to make it so it's readable over this image. And I could just turn this maybe white so it reverses out of there, but instead I'm just going to add a quick box behind it here on my same layer. I'm going to take and fill that box with white, and then I'm going to give it a little bit of transparency up here. I want to make sure that I put my text box over the front of that. So again, you can see that everything I'm doing here is kind of the way you'd normally build a page in InDesign, right? I'm putting text boxes in, I'm moving them around, I'm organizing the page. That's really the point of magplus, is that you should be able to build these things the way you're accustomed to putting together layouts without having to think, oh my gosh, this is digital, what don't I know, how do I code these things? That's not what magplus is about. It's about composition and beautiful presentation of all the assets that you have without having to think too much about it here. So the one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this text just a little bit bigger so it's a little bit easier to see. Again here I've got infinite space, so there's no reason that I can't do that. Let me just grab all of my text here again. So people ask us sometimes if text is resizable, and it's not. Yep, I'm unable to do this here. Let me make this a little bit. Yep, my font is not coming through because I've got this locked, I believe. But you could make this bigger and smaller if you want to. The user doesn't resize this the way you might think that they would do in things like the Kindle, and that's because this canvas is really about having a designed presentation that you've created. You as the designer and the publisher are really in control of what this looks like on the screen, and we want you to keep that presentation locked. If we let people resize the text, for instance, here, that would tear apart your layout. And what we found through experience is that as long as you make this text at a size that's pretty easily readable and the resolution of the iPad is great, so you can actually still have it pretty small and people can read it, they won't feel the need to increase it. People don't necessarily want to increase it. They do it because they can't read the text at the size you've already given them. So it's absolutely possible to make a nice readable document on here without having to resize the text or without having to make it too big. In fact, I'm sure it'll be readable at this length here. So I'm going to group these two images together, or these two boxes rather, my kind of background box here and my text box. So you can see I've got this on my A layer, I've got that on my B layer. Well, now let's take a look at how this looks on the device. You'll notice that so far I haven't even touched the magplus plugin, right? Everything I've been doing here is just about layout. So now if I go up here under Window and I choose magplus, I'm going to get my magplus plugin popping up. This is the thing that we just filled out, and I'll give you a really quick walkthrough of this. We don't need to know about every option here, but I'll show you some of the basic things you're going to want to pay attention to. The device, we're going to leave it Apple iPad for now. Many more devices coming. Issue folder is an important thing to pay attention to. This is one you're going to want to set every time you open up a new document, and it's pretty simple to do. What this refers to is that when I click the export button down here, which is going to be our last step in this process, magplus in the plugin is going to convert everything that I've been doing down to all the right size and format images for the iPad, and it's going to write a bunch of XML that's going to tell our app how to render this and what it should look like on the iPad. So what's great about this, remember how in this other document I just copied and pasted? So all this stuff is somewhere in my print folder. I didn't move anything over. I didn't open up Photoshop and convert anything. I didn't make a new folder structure. I just copied and pasted. And that's because when I click the export button, magplus is going to put everything in a folder for me. It's going to organize all the things I need for this vertical, this story, into one place. That's all part of the export process. So the only thing I need to do from a folder organization standpoint is pick a folder where I want all that stuff to go. So here I'm just going to go folder. I'm going to go into my demo material, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm just going to call it issue folder. And I'm going to choose that one. A MIB is what is the name for our file format. If you see that in our plugin or you see that in our documentation, what we're talking about is the file. So think of it the same as a PDF or a doc or any of those kinds of things, a .mov. Our file format is just .mib. It stands for magplus issue bundle. And it's just a zip file that contains all the coding language and all of the assets that you need to render this page on the Reader app on the iPad. So the MIB version is just the latest that we're up to, and right now we're at 3.1. So you can pretty much always just leave it here unless you happen to have an older version of the app out in the store. Our apps can always read back versions, but we can't read newer versions. So you want to just leave this at the latest in most cases. Now the last two things you're going to want to worry about here in the plugin or pay attention to when you're building a page are the ID and the name, and there's a difference between the two. The ID is the way the system internally is going to refer to this, and I'll show you where that pops up later. So just make this a name. This is never public. Just make this a name that you know what it is. So I'm going to say something like out 312 because this is the March issue, DISP because this is the dispatches section here. Now the name of this is what users will actually see. Your end readers are going to see this name in your scrubber, in your navigation bar. They're also going to see it if they bookmark this page, bookmark this vertical, and then come back to it. So make sure that this is something that people will understand what page it refers to. Don't call it that dang page or something. So we're going to just call this lone shooter. And here you can have spaces and that kind of thing. So it's a nice, it's a nice memorable name there. The orientation I mentioned is something you can lock if you'd like to. So we could keep this at one orientation. Let's say you don't want people to turn it one way or the other. You just want it to work one way. You can do that. You can also later we can lock the entire publication at once if we want to do that. But auto is the default, and auto is what I mentioned before, where it's going to automatically move things around to work in both orientations. The background is simply the color behind. If I had a transparent area in this photo, if I wasn't covering the whole background with an image, what color would people see behind that? That can be any color you want it to be, and it's just going to pull it out of your swatches palette. And knockback is another effect where we can sort of gray out the background here. I won't go into that, but you can see that in our other tutorials and things online. So the only other thing I need to do, there's a bunch of other options here, but we don't need to get into those right now. The only other thing I really need to do here is set this up so that I can look at what this is going to look like on my iPad live. And the way I do that is by tying the IP address of my iPad, which is running our reviewer app, which is a free app out in the iTunes store. It's got all the same code as our branded reader app, so it's going to render this exactly the way it's going to look excuse me, for end users. But it's going to do it in a way on your device where it's going to talk directly to this InDesign plugin. It's going to beam this layout fully functional out to the iPad. So I just have to tell the system here where to find my iPad, and we do that via an IP address. So what I'm going to do, normally when I do these, I use the simulator, but I'm going to try a new app that someone just told us about called Reflection. It's really cool. What it's allowing me to do is going to allow me to mirror my iPad, which is sitting next to me on my desk here, onto the screen. So if I go up and I turn this on, and I go into my settings on the iPad, this is using the standard mirroring or AirPlay mirroring. So go here, turn my mirroring on. Look at that. Now we got my iPad. So this is going to be, like I said, normally I use the iOS simulator, and I'll show you what that looks like. We do work on the iOS simulator, so if you're a developer or you have a developer license, you can download this iOS simulator as part of Xcode, and then you can head out to our support site, and we'll give you a special version of the magplus reviewer here that'll run inside the simulator. So if you want to review only on a desktop, if you don't have an iPad handy or maybe a client doesn't have an iPad, it is possible to do this, and you can just do that there. But I'm going to get out of this because I'm going to do it here on my regular iPad today. So what I'm going to do is pop into my magplus reviewer. Now I'm on the same Wi-Fi network here that I am up here. So if I pop into my magplus reviewer, I tried to click it, but I need to click it on my iPad. You can see here in the scrubber, it's telling me what the IP address of my iPad is. 192.168.111. Okay. Now I go back in here into my settings and I just put that address in. Now, I've probably already got this programmed in from a previous one. I don't. It'll remember every IP address you've put in. So if you jump between home and work, it'll remember the IP addresses you've used before. If it's not in there, no problem. Just hit the plus sign and type it in. Okay. Now these two things are connected. You can see there's a bunch of other settings out here. These are all explained on our manuals and on our website, but gives you lots of really precise control over what's happening on the export and how this thing is going to work, but we won't worry about those now. So I've got two review buttons down here. I've got a fast review, and what that's going to do is all that image conversion I mentioned. This is a 300 dpi image, and it needs to be 132 ppi and RGB for the iPad screen, so that conversion and everything else is going to happen just within InDesign, and it's going to use low-res images. It's going to do that so that this is, as it says, fast. If I want to see a full review, exactly how this is going to render once Photoshop does that conversion and that scripting, that's when I'll use the full review button. In this case, I'm just going to use fast review. The one step I need to do before I can do that, this is the one I always forget, is I do need to save this. So I'm just going to save it. I'm going to save it here in my outside demo material. And I'm just going to call it dispatch sample. Again, these file names never public. This is all up to you, same as any kind of file organization. So now if I hit the fast review, let me open up Reflection so we can see I'm here in my reviewer app. I'm going to go back out here. I'm going to hit the fast review button. And there you see the page. So this is what just popped up on my iPad that's sitting next to me on the desk. And you can see here in this orientation, so I've got my box over here. I've got my kind of white box behind it so I can read my text. I'm sitting over here on the edge. And you're wondering, well, where is the rest of that text? This is what we're talking about with that free scrolling A layer. So I can just continue to read it like this. I've got this big beautiful image here in the background. I can see a little bit through it, but one of the great features of magplus when we talk about using this layered architecture is that at any time the user can double tap the screen to turn off that A layer. Now I can just look at this big cool photo. I can double tap and I can bring it back. Now what happens if we turn the device? Now you can see that mirrored it. So if I do this, you can see my image crops differently, right? Because that stays static. So just like we saw before, that stays in the place it is, and just we see a little bit different parts of the photo. But this box now stays here, and I think it looks a little funny right there. What I'd actually like is for it to still be over to the right edge. That's where our pinning setting comes in. So let me go back over here and turn that on. Now I'm going to grab this group. This is my white box and my text box. And I'm going to go over here into horizontal pin. As soon as I grabbed this box, these options popped up. You can see I can pin it left or right. In this case, I want it right because I want it to move over to the right edge. I want to show you something else that's pretty cool. You can see that where I positioned this is not all the way to the absolute edge. I've left a little bit of space here between the edge and the box. When I set this horizontal pinning to right, the system's going to know what this distance is, and when it moves it via pinning, it's going to keep that distance between what will now be the new right edge. So let me hit fast review and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so there's our new version coming through. You can see how quickly this happens. This is no trickery. This is moving over our Wi-Fi network here and it's spitting it out just that fast. So now watch when I turn. Oop. Oh. Let me go back to automatic orientation. I'm used to using the simulator, so I turned the window and I forgot to pick up the device sitting next to me on my desk. So now watch when I turn. See how that box moved over? Let me do it again. That box is now scooting over and now it's occupying this space in here. And it's keeping that little distance I had over there. So if you can imagine all sorts of things like captions, etc., excuse me, you'll see that this pinning becomes a really simple way to handle both orientations with one layout. It really gives you great control over what this is going to look like on a user's device. And there's even an option here in the settings for all that to happen automatically. So if I hit calculate default pinning, as soon as I put this box in and I put it near the right side, it would set my horizontal pin to right. So there's one more feature I want to show you on this, and what I'm going to do is actually show you, because I've got my iPad up, I'm going to show you what this looked like in the final version that that Outside itself actually put out. Let me turn my iPad back on, and we'll just go into my Outside issue here. So this is Outside's published issue. It's a March issue. You can go out to the store and get it. So here's that story. So you can see that the designer actually set it a little bit differently here. They put the text box on the left side. They've set it to come all the way up here. So if I wanted to mirror that here, this is just a matter of doing this. I'm moving my text box over here. I'm going to change my image crop to being this way. Now if I pop back into my reviewer app and hit fast review, now you can see I've got that going. So if I pop back into Outside here, I'll just take you through what this page looks like. Now you'll notice what they've added here in the digital version of this, because they couldn't do it in the print, is both a link to the documentary that's referred to in this article. So if I tap that link, it's going to open up an in-app browser, and it's going to take me out to that website. You can see it's loading here, where I can buy the DVD, I can watch this, etc. I click done, and I'm out of that. But the other thing I can do, because this is digital, is, well, I can actually put the trailer in the article, which is really what people want to see. You hate reading an article about a movie and not being able to see part of it. You know, this is digital, we can do that. So I tap that, I get into my full screen. Now because I'm mirroring, it's actually popping up in my player here and not on the iPad, but normally it would pop up and just start playing on your iPad itself. So let me show you how that works. I'll click done to go back to our layout here. Alright, so we want to add that box in this case. So first I'll show you how we put a link in. So you can see that the text is in here that says, you can see this at sweetgrassproductions.com. So I want to link to Sweetgrass. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to, so I don't need to select that text, I'm just going to select this box, this whole text box. Actually this whole group here, and I'm going to go over, and now that I've got it selected, I get this choice. This is add link. So as soon as I click that, you can see what's happened is a new box got drawn over the top of that box I had selected. And this box that got drawn is here on my clickable areas layer. What that means, clickable areas, exactly what it sounds like. It's a hotspot. And hotspots can control a number of things in the magplus platform. It's really anywhere that people can tap to make the system do something. In this case, what I want it to do is open up that in-app web browser. So what I've done here is I've resized that box, which I can do because it's just a regular InDesign box. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than the text itself. So this is why we don't do a thing where you select the text and then make that, because people's fingers are big. They're not accurate with their tapping. You want to give them a nice big area here where they can actually click to activate this. You can see that this box that was drawn, the object type is automatically hotspot. So that, you know, again, what it sounds like. It's a hotspot you can click. The hotspot type can be a few different things. In this case, I do want it to be a link, but my other options are jump link, and that means it's literally going to jump to another place in the issue, or maybe even to another issue. So if I was designing my table of contents, for instance, I want people to tap a story and it'll take them directly to that page. Exactly the same way, only in the URL, I'm just going to point to that page rather than to an actual URL. I want this to display here in the embedded in-app browser, but I could also have people just close out of this app and go out to Safari if I wanted that. So here I'm just going to go back into my text box. I'm going to grab this URL, copy it, back into my URL field here, and paste it. Now, one hard-learned lesson, you need the HTTP. If you don't do that, the link isn't going to work. So now if we hit our fast review button, the point of this, oh, it failed because I didn't have my reviewer app open on my device. So I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm popping back into my reviewer app here. The point of this reviewer app setting and this reviewer app function that you have is that as you're doing these things, you're saying, well, what if this was on the left? What if this was on the right? You can try it. You can see right away in a matter of seconds what it feels like underneath your finger, what it looks like on the device. So it really gives you the freedom to try things. Now I need to make one other change here I just noticed. I've moved this box over to the left here. Now I want that pinning to be to the left, otherwise it's going to jump all the way across the page. So I just pop over here and change it to left. Now the reason that when I made this link, I selected this text box and I clicked Add Link, is that now this link box is tied to this text box, or this group here, which means that when this box moves because of pinning, this box is going to move along with it. Otherwise, you can imagine it would move over and the link wouldn't follow it. So that's why we have these. This process is always grab an object you want it to be associated with, then click the Add Link or the Add Movie button. Now if I hit my fast review, head back out to my device, you can see it's downloading. If I turn my device, you'll see that pinning in action. If I scroll all the way down, now I've got my link there, which I'm tapping, and it's bringing up my in-app browser here and loading that URL. And then I can click Done on the device, and away I go. Now the one other thing, if I pop back into the actual issue of Outside, you'll see that they did in this, and I'll just show you one more feature, is this tap here to watch the trailer. So let me show you how simple and quick it is to add an actual movie into this. So I'm just going to draw a quick text box down here, and I'm just going to type watch movie so that you don't have to watch me typeset a whole box. Excuse me. I'm going to move this up so it's inside of our white box here. And I'm just going to group this whole thing together so that everything is part of the same group. Now I'm just going to grab this whole group again, just like I did before, and this time instead of clicking Add Link, I'm going to click Add Movie. Now there's a couple of boxes that got drawn. One is my green box here on top, and you can see that's on my Media Areas layer. So that again is what it sounds like. This is the area in which the movie will actually play if I don't make it a full screen movie. In this case, I'm going to make it a full screen movie, so it really doesn't matter how big this box is. But if I wanted what's called an inline movie, if I wanted it just to play in this space, I can make this box whatever size I want and put it anywhere I want on the page. Now it's also given me another clickable areas layer because they need a way for people to activate the playing of this movie. That's another hotspot. So I'm just going to resize this to be over my watch movie box. Now I just need to tell it, well, what movie do you want to play? So if I select my media areas box, you can see over here, I get my choice of what kind of movie I want it to be. I'm going to choose full screen. Source type can be either streaming, so I can put in a URL if that movie's online, but I'm going to choose embedded because an embedded movie means that movie file is going to be part of the file that people download, part of that issue file. It's going to work even when they're offline. The quality is going to be really nice. Now all I got to do is just point to a file. So if I go out here to my Outside and Assets, and I think it's this one, my Solitaire trailer. It's a .mov file. You can see it's only about 40 megabytes, so it's not going to make my issue too much bigger. That's the process. That's all we need to do to add a movie into this. And now I can select a couple of things over here. I can have that movie start playing immediately when somebody gets to the page. That's auto start. I can have the movie disappear when it's done playing. That's called hide media at end, so people don't have to click that done button. It can just go away. Now if I hit my fast review again, oh, I didn't open up my reviewer quick enough. Let me do that again. Now I got my reviewer open, so we'll pop back out to reflection and we'll look at this. Now you can see that now that I've embedded a movie in here, it's taking a little bit longer to hit the review. So don't worry about it. It will, because now it's a bigger file. It's packaging in that 40 megabyte movie into the file that it's creating. You can see it's going through its process here. And as soon as that whole thing is together, it's going to pop out onto my device and we'll be able to see how that movie worked. It's doing a little thinking here. I'm going to use the break while it's doing this to sip a little coffee so I stop coughing at you. You can see another thing that's kind of nice we've added in a recent version is that here in my plugin, now that I've done a review, it's telling me exactly how big this MIB, this page, this vertical in my folder is going to be. So if you're worried about your issue file size, you want to make sure it doesn't get too big, you can see down here, well, I've added a 40 megabyte movie, so this page alone is going to add 40 megabytes to my file size. Just a helpful tool for you to say, all right, maybe I want to make that a little smaller, or at least I know now how big it's going to be. So now I scroll down, you can see there's my watch movie link that we added. I click that. Now again, because I'm mirroring, it's going to pop out here and start playing. but normally it would play right here on your iPad. So that's a really super simple build, but you could see in the course of 20 minutes, and in terms of actual work, if you didn't have to listen to me blabbing about it at the same time, this took about 5 minutes to translate this through, to put my image in, make it nice and big, put my text in a scrolling optimized way, add a couple of extra features like a link in a movie. This is really about a 10-minute process per page to make a really nice optimized layout. And there's all kinds of other things we could add in here. But this is not a difficult process to make optimized content, to make something that feels like, boy, that's really native to this device. This doesn't feel like you just took a picture of the print page and shrunk it down. So what do we do from here? All right, so now let's say I'm happy with this page. Now I'm just going to click the export button, and that's going to do that conversion that I talked about before. And it's going to put everything in that folder that I selected. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel out of this, and I'm going to take that movie file actually out. Oop, go away here. There we go. Failed to export. I'm going to take that movie out because it's just going to make the export a little bit quicker. So all I did there was just delete the movie boxes and the hotspot, and we'll get rid of that one too. So now let me save it, and then I'm going to hit the export button. Oh, I forgot to pick the right version of. Here we go. I forgot to pick the right version of Photoshop. There we go. So you can see out here in the settings, I've got an option. I can make sure I'm using Photoshop to do that downscaling. I can choose between PNGs, which are going to look really great all the time, but they're going to be a little bit bigger. Or I can make sure that it's outputting JPEGs, which is going to save me a lot of file size, and almost always it's going to give me a good enough, a seemingly perfect resolution. So let me pop back out here and click export again. And now you'll see it's going to go through this process of converting all these images. This takes a little bit longer than reviewing, but really not too long. Getting my guff on my Photoshop here. All right, so let's get rid of this. Excuse me. I don't have my versions of Photoshop synced up to me here. I'm just going to jump into the production tool and show you what this is going to look like when we do an export. Yes, we know. Go away. Okay. So what we're seeing here is the magplus production tool. When I export one of these verticals, this is the next stage of it. This is where it comes into. So what I've done up here, let me just pop up and choose another issue folder. What I'm doing up here under issue is I'm choosing that exact same folder that I exported to before. It's the same folder. My giving it the wrong Photoshop has really made it unhappy today. So you know what we're going to do? Oh, no, here we go. Now we're exporting. This is the day of technical difficulty. Let me pop back into the production tool while this is finishing out what it's doing, and then we'll do an export. When I export it, it's going to take one of these verticals, and it's going to put it here. It's going to put it in this clipboard area. This is going to be everything that I've exported to that issue folder that I haven't yet made part of the order of my publication. When it shows up here, all I do is drag it in and drag it to the position that I want it to be. You can see that here in the production tool, it really is just a simple drag and drop around to reorder the pages. I can also zoom in on things here so I can really take a good look at them. I can see my full vertical depth. I can even switch to a list view so I can just see all the pages right in order here. I can see what MIB they were built with, whether or not they're included in the table of contents, etc. I go back to my preview view. So once I've done this and I've made my full issue exactly the way I want to make it, I'm happy with this order. There's a couple of things I can do here in the production tool which are really handy. So this is where I'm going to create my final file. But before I do that, maybe what I want to do is actually look at not just this issue page by page, the way we were doing before, vertical by vertical, but I want to see the whole issue together, or I want to see a piece of the issue at least. So let me grab just a few of these pages. Maybe I don't need to look at the ad, but let's say I want to look at the help page and a couple of other things here. So I can do this same instant review to my reviewer app from here on a multi-page document now. You can see that up here I've got a choice to go review all. Now that's going to select everything, or just review the selected ones that I've done. So in this case I'll just say review selected. Now I don't actually even have to set this up, because one of the cool things is that the plugin talks to this. So over here in my preferences, it's already grabbed the IP address that I put into the plugin, so it's already connected to my iPad. I don't have to do anything extra out here. I'll hit save so I get it in the order that I want it. I'm going to hit review selected. Now let's just pop back out here. You'll see it's pushing through that whole MIB. And now here's my issue. All those pages that I just put through. The other great thing about this part is that I don't have to only do it to my local iPad. So my iPad's sitting here next to me on the desk. It's talking over Wi-Fi. But I can actually, from here, in my preferences area, actually up here in my brand settings editor, this is an extra little interface screen that you don't really have to worry too much about. You only have to set it up once. But up here, I could put a server. So this could be a local server that you have. This could be some kind of remote server. I could give it a username and a password. And what that would allow me to do is that when I hit review, instead of just beaming that file directly to my iPad sitting here, it's going to put it up to a server. And what that means is that anybody anywhere in the world with that magplus reviewer app, which again is free out in the store, can see this full issue. So that means that clients who want to review an advertisement, for instance, or your editor is over somewhere else on a trip, or you want to show an idea you have to a potential client who's somewhere else, you're not just showing them screenshots. You're not just showing them something on a simulator. You can just simply send them an address to pop into their magplus settings, go back to that reviewer app, hit the review button, and they're seeing the full issue, fully functional, underneath their finger, exactly how it's going to work. That's why the reviewer app is so powerful, because it really is the full experience before you've paid us a nickel or signed any contracts or published anything. So let's say I've done all my reviewing, I've done my remote reviewing, I'm happy with this, everyone's signed off on it. There's one final step I need to do here, and that's the create MIB. Like I said, MIB is our final issue format, our final file format, which is what you actually upload. So I hit my button, and what it's going to do now is go through and it's going to do all the compression. So it's going to make it as tight a file as it can be. And you can see this is a really fast process. It's just going to go through and push all those things down, and it's going to make our final .mib file. And the name of this MIB file is going to come from up here. It's under this GUID, so it's a name that I've given this issue outside, a preview issue. This is from December. And that MIB file now is in my issue folder. It's in my preview issue folder, which is here. This is the one that I was pointing to. So you can see here is my file I just output, 105 meg. You can see here when I did the export, it tells me what the MIB size is up here, so I know again how big my issue is going to be. If I made a change in here, let's say I wanted to see, well, 105, boy, that's bigger than I want it to be. What happens if I just get rid of this exposure vertical? Yeah, I want to get rid of that. Now I hit the create MIB button, and we'll see how big this one is gonna actually be instead. You know, it's a way I can play with it and make sure I'm getting a file size I want to get. And now it's going to make a new MIB out here with a .4 on the extension. So you do this many times as you want. You can put out as many final MIB files. And there's that one. So now what do I do with this MIB file? Great, I've done all my creation. This is really the furthest you are going to go on your own before you call us. All of the things I've just done you can do without ever talking to us, without ever paying a nickel. But there's a final step in here, and that's, now I want to get this out to the world. I want to show people this MIB. That's when the third piece of our production system we call magplus publish comes into view. So I'm just going to go out there. It's just called publish.magplus.com. And once you contact us and you become a paying customer, you sign up for one of those 3 programs, we give you your own portal out here on magplus.com, on publish.magplus.com. And this is where you can do all kinds of things out here. You can upload these issues. You can actually do your app build. I'm going to pop into our generic account, so I'm not showing you anybody else's stuff that comes up. We'll just go here into generic tester. This is ours. And you would see in this initial portal any of the publications that you have access to. So if you're a publishing company, you're doing 10 pubs with magplus, you could access all of them underneath this pull down menu here. So you can see out here, I can I can upload new issues here to publish them. So let's say I wanted to create a new issue for this. I click my Add New Issue button, give it a title. We'll say Outside Preview. I give it a description. Now this is the title and the description that's going to appear in the in-app store. Let me just pop back onto my iPad so I can show you what that in-app store actually looks like. So now I'm in my Outside app. I bring up my navigation. I click my store button. Now here, because I own all of the issues that have already come out, because why wouldn't I? It's a great magazine. The only thing I see in my store is what's for sale, right? So in this case, I could still buy an annual subscription to it, but if I tap on my library, that's where I'm going to see all of my issues here. So here's our preview issues. You can see the ones I've already downloaded. I can archive, which means I can just get them off the device, save myself some space. I can always re-download them later, or I can tap on them to read. So this title right here is what's going to appear in this area, and the description is what's going to appear down beneath it, either in the store or the library. So this is really all there is to it. I've created my MIB file. Now I want to push this out to the world. I say this is a preview of the December issue. I got to pick one image because I need an image to fill in this spot right here. And if I'm a newsstand app out in the iTunes store, I need to give it an image that appears. So if I click back out here, you'll see here's my outside. So that's the image I want to appear in the newsstands. People know what it is. All I got to do is point to an image, which I threw in here. I don't know what I did with my image. Well, I'd normally just upload a cover image. Oh, here we go. This will work. I upload a cover image. I've given it a title and a description. Down here I say, okay, I want to put this out on iPad, and maybe I've got an Android app as well, and I want to send this same issue out to Android. So I leave that checked. If this is a free issue, I'm just going to click the free issue, and this is all I need to do. As soon as I hit create and publish, I've got a new issue out there. It appears in the store or in the library. If it's a free issue, it'll appear in the library for people to download. If it's a paid issue, I'm going to put something in here that's going to connect it to a purchase that I set up out in iTunes Connect. iTunes Connect is the part of the Apple ecosystem where you're managing your app submissions, your in-app purchases, all of those kinds of things. But if I wanted this to be a free issue, as our free preview issues are, I just check the free issue, hit the create button, and now I'm going to have a new issue here. It's uploading my my image that I just put in there. And now what I do, so what I'm essentially doing here is creating like the placeholder for this image. I'm giving it a place to appear out in the store. I'm giving it an image. Now I just need to upload that MIB file. So I just click this upload button, and it's going to give me an interface where I can point to that file I just created. Now if you were hosting these yourself, instead at this step you just put in a URL. Wherever that MIB file lives on your server, you just put in a URL so our system knows where to get it. If you do it this way, you're just grabbing, you're just going to put things out on our Amazon S3 account, and as always, we only charge you the the data that you actually push through. So I go through in my preview issue folder. Here's my MIB. Click open. Click upload. Now this is going to put the MIB into our system once it goes through all of this. We won't sit here and wait for it. Let me show you a couple other things that you can do out in Publish. You talk about getting your own branded reader app. You can actually, you don't have to call us for that. Once you have access to Publish, you can build your own app. So when we look at, let's pop back out here to our device and look at Outside's app. You can see they've got this great branded bar up here. They've customized the icons so that they turn the outside yellowish orange color when you select them. All of those customizations you can do yourself, and you just do them out here in this app portal. So it's just a matter of uploading a few custom assets, my icon, my loading screen, anything I want to customize in this navigation. and I, boom, click the Generate New Build button, and 5 minutes later I'm going to get back a zip package that's going to have my app in it. We'll just download this one so you can see what it looks like. It's going to give me back a package, oh, this is a big one, that has a version of the app that I can test. So you can drag it onto your iPad. You can see this app working the same way it does out here, fully functional. You can know exactly how it's going to work. Check out all your customizations, make sure it looks good. There's going to be another file in this package that's a .zip file, and that's what you submit to Apple. So that's really kind of the whole process. Well, then maybe I'll show you one more thing. Maybe you want to let people know a new issue's there. That can also be done from out here in Publish under my Notifications tab. I just click New Notification. I can type in whatever I want to type to people. New issue is out. Up to about 150 characters. I hit Deliver Now, and boom, that message goes out to all my users. Next time I want to create a new issue, it's just a matter of going through that simple process again. I just upload an image, give it a name, upload a MIB file, and boom, here's my new issue that's going to appear out in my store. So if we take a look here in this folder we've just downloaded, you can see I've got, here's my test app. If I drag this into iTunes and I hit sync, this would go onto my iPad and I can see exactly how it's going to work. This one is the one I'm going to send to Apple for them to approve. And that's all there is to it. So if we kind of walk back through it again, download, get rid of my errors, download the tools and template, build your page out, make it pretty, make it everything you want, hit the export button. You hit the export button, it's going to pop out here into the production tool, get it in the order you want, review the whole issue together, swipe through it, make sure everything's looking the way you want it to look, hit the Create MIB button. Once you've got that MIB created, give us a call, pick your pricing package. We'll get you set up with your own Publish portal out here. Upload your issue, build your app, submit it to Apple, and boom, you're live. That really is the whole thing. Now, it's going to seem like I skipped over a lot of stuff, but I didn't. I swear it really is that easy. I want to show you one more thing before I let you go here. And that's a new contest that we've got going on magplus.com. Let me just make sure I can find our link here. I might have to send you out to our site to look for it. I can never remember where this link is, but we do have a new contest going on. We'll make sure the link is out here on the site so you can find it. You'll probably get an email from us about it as well, but we're usually running contests so that you can do all the stuff I just did. You can grab the tools, you can build out something really cool and send us the file. Send us the file that you've created, and we've got all kinds of great prizes, so you could win things just for showing us your creativity, for showing us all the really cool stuff that you can do with the magplus tools. We really want people to take this and get creative. I also want to show you out here, if you head out under our help and inspiration, all these webinars are recorded, so you can go through, listen to it, listen to pieces of it, fast forward through it when I get boring. All kinds of specific features and things out here you can watch me walk through. If you head back under this help and inspiration, we've got a great support site. You can ask questions. We've got forums. We've got help for any little feature that you want to get help with. And then we've also got a ton of videos out here on our video channel. It's out on YouTube. So all of the things I just talked about you can watch in short little 3-4 minute tutorials. You can see interviews with our customers. You can see examples of really cool stuff created on the platform. All the information you need is out here on magplus.com. So head out there today, get started, build something really great, and we can't wait to see what you create with it.